and let us all do we can to build a better future.
This next one is interesting. We've been covering this on and off, and we actually have two stories that are going to be on this very sort of topic, just from different perspectives. And the pandemic has really redefined a lot of things that the elites just did not want to happen. By keeping everyone at home, people are like, oh, right, I have a family. I'd like to keep seeing them. That'd be really nice. I remember I have a kid. I have to watch my kid. I like this. I enjoy being there with my family. I enjoy not having to commute for 2 hours to a job where some crazy woman's going to throw a tub of mayonnaise at me because I told her to wear a mask. Right? So that's happening in a lot of places. And Americans are also like, kind of don't want to kill myself for this, for like, $7 an hour.
Yeah.
And so we have this video from Case Study QB, our unofficial producer. Let's just let it talk, and we'll talk about it after it talks.
The number of Americans quitting their jobs has surged to record highs. According to new data released by the Labor Department, some 4.3 million people quit in August. That number was driven largely by the food and retail industries. The previous record was set in April of this year, when about 4 million Americans walked off the job. Experts say this is being driven in part by workers who are less willing to endure inconvenient hours or poor compensation, or are seeking better opportunities. According to the Labor Department, there were about 10.4 million job openings.
Because I know they're always going to complain about this, that when this wasn't happening, what did every advisor on TV say when people are like, they're not getting paid enough, we're not getting paid enough? Well, you should better yourself and go to college and find, a better job. And now that they're like, no, wait, don't, please.
You know what I thought you were going to say?
Oh, yeah?
Is that everybody was saying it's the increased unemployment that's causing this. And then I love how, like, right after the unemployment goes with the federal unemployment, booster, that's not what it's called, went away. Everybody is like, F this, I'm out of here. I'll quit now. That whole hypothesis kind of got blown out of the water, didn't it?
Okay, well, anyway, let's see what this rich business strategist has to say. Let's let him continue.
Openings in the United States at the end of August. A U.S. task, the number of Americans quitting their job.
So yeah, that's it. That's the entire story. It's nice. They're being succinct. It's clear cut. Americans are quitting. They're not going to their work. And by the way, the other thing that those same people on TV said, I remember back when the economy was good, they would be like, businesses don't have the possibility of increasing their wages. What are you, insane? Businesses can't pay more under any circumstances. If Congress increased the minimum wage by 25 cents, half of America would go bankrupt. It's just the way it is. Except now when they're looking for workers and they're paying $20 an hour. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many factors in all of these folks quitting. Yeah. I pulled up some numbers naturally. Mostly these jobs are coming from the food services jobs and retail positions, right? And I worked in the restaurant industry for 10 years as either some kind of waitress or, server, hostess, bartender. And those folks don't get paid a lot of money. So it's like, if you're not banking from tips, there is no reason to go to that job. No reason at all, because childcare will actually cost you more than, just staying at home, being with your children, watching them grow up, like what you were pointing to, Daniel. People started realizing, like, I kind of like this. Mm-hmm. Not only do I kind of like it, but it's doable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm figuring this out. Oh my goodness. And I can earn money doing this other thing that I love, albeit maybe not that much.
Mm-hmm. Everyone has a side hustle now.
But everybody has a side hustle, which I think that there are some really awesome things about that personally. In my personal opinion, I love that idea, but I know that there are drawbacks to that. Yeah. But I think what people are starting to get is that those corporate jobs, until they start sweetening the deal for folks, there's no reason to go to them.
And I think it's also just, this goes to structural issues. So let's go back to restaurants right now. You know what restaurants would actually be really helped by? a co-op model. Like, okay, so like I've always like the idea of tips has always infuriated me in America because tipping only happened because of John D. Rockefeller leading to the temperance movement with the funding, and then that's the Great Depression that caused restaurants, and that the temperance movement, not the Great Depression specifically, but the non-ability to sell alcohol during the Depression made the profit margins of restaurants so small. That's when tipping was first introduced in America, because they're just like. Because even before that, Americans were most like most other countries, and if you gave them a tip, it was considered a snobby thing that would get pushed away. And tips were like people trying to get first in line. It was like no one wanted to take tips.
It was like to ensure prompt service is what I heard that all started from. So.
That may have been how they spun it, but it was the restaurants just didn't want to pay their workers.
Yeah, naturally.
And so they're like, just get it from the customer. So that's why we have tipping in America. It doesn't seem good. It causes. Also, the thing I always bring up with like tipping is like every year that we do tipping, we are increasing the amount of sexual assaults by about 25,000 every single year because of that. What's the not a Faustian bargain, whatever it's called. It's like if you're in the service industry, you have to be very nice and pleasant to get the possibility of getting a tip. If someone is doing something untoward, it's not in your financial interest.
Ooh, I should share in the Patreon today, like some of the stuff that I dealt with when I worked in the service industry, because I worked in fine dining and I worked as a cocktail waitress in college at a 4 a.m. bar.
Okay.
And I also worked in fine dining, and I got more harassed in the fine dining atmosphere than I did as a cocktail waitress.
Wait, you're telling me that the rich and powerful can't control themselves as much as 4 a.m. drunks?
Yeah, it's wild.
What?
It's wild. Oh my
amazing.
God. I'll
talk about that later.
totally tell the story because it's like jaw dropping. So anyway, yeah. So restaurants, food industries suffering. 892,000 workers quit. Food service jobs, 721,000 quit retail positions. I never worked retail, so I can't really speak to that on a personal level. And
Walmart's like, no, we need the money you generate.
No, but don't you love the government subsidies that we afford you?
And then keep.
Right.